burning every month 150K and trying to tell your financial investor that this is still a good story, that was very hard.
I think being an entrepreneur requires extreme amounts of resilience and being able to get back up when life presents you challenges.
The beauty of a cloud system is with thousands of users, you have every day a lot of feedback what you get. So you do continuously optimize for everyone, even when not everyone gives you feedback.
I think someone will behave inevitably different when they have people believing in them. Hello and welcome to the EGN Podcast powered by the E-Commerce Berlin Expo. I'm your host, Efe von Thenen, and today I'm joined by Ertan Özdil, founder and CEO of Weclapp. Ertan started coding at 9 years old. Today he runs one of Europe's fastest growing ERP platforms. But this episode isn't just about software. It's about what happens when fast growing businesses hit operational walls. The truth is, some of the most promising e-commerce brands are at risk of failing, not because of bad products or weak marketing, but because their systems can't keep up. Join me as we take a deep dive into the real-world challenges of multi-channel support, global expansion, and the chaos of inventory mismanagement. Ertan also shares what 20 years of tech have taught him, from nearly going public to building a company culture that lasts. If you care about what really powers sustainable growth in e-commerce, this episode is for you. Ertan, welcome to our show. So you took a long train ride, I guess, today for only this podcast episode. Thank you so much. And I'm very excited to get to know you first and also talk about the world of possibilities in ERP. And so please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Efe. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Ertan Özdil. I'm a father of three children, 21, 16, and 11 years old. I'm founder and CEO at Weclapp, and I founded Weclapp in 2008. I think we will talk about that later a little bit more, but that's me.
Yeah, and we have a very special announcement to make, of course, because you, as Weclapp, have won the very special you're the winner of the special prize we had in 2025. And you didn't only win one prize, you won two prizes. And in total, you got more points than we've ever had before. So you scored really well at the e-commerce Germany award ceremony, the very first award in German e-commerce for service providers. So congratulations. I really want to congratulate you because we have companies that have been trying this for years and years, and you made it for the very first time when you applied, and you won the special prize.
Yeah, that was really awesome for us also, especially for the team. I mean, they're working all hard in the company to push the product forward, and then getting a award like the e-commerce Germany award. That's unbelievable, and that was really great also for the team. So it was very successful for us. Yeah.
May I ask you, what made you decide to apply for this contest?
Well, it's when you're in your organization and you're in a closed room and you just develop things and you never benchmark yourself, you never show you, and you never have the possibility to really discuss with others on the market, knowing the market very well. That doesn't make any sense. So for us, it's very natural that we join these activities and that we really try to be there.
Yeah. And maybe you can share with us some highlights from this experience, from being part of this, everything that's leading to the gala, waiting for the results, and the application process. What were your highlights?
Well, the application process is always very tough because you really need to show a lot of details, and
Yeah.
you need to really. I mean, there's a jury with a lot of experts there, and they exactly know whether this is good what you're telling
Yeah.
about, and this is the right thing. So it's tough when you're preparing your documents and apply to it. And the ceremony itself is always, I mean, that's that's
fun,
always
right?
fun, yeah.
Yeah.
When you sit there and you think, hopefully it's me, it's hopefully. But
Yeah.
this time, nobody really expected it, and it was a big surprise for the team.
Yeah. And then that's the fun part, right? Like
Yeah.
having this surprise and just being like, even um, I know colleagues that are always waiting in the front, being like ready to to be called, but it never comes for them. But also like just having this surprise the first year that you apply for it, I was really happy to see that, to be honest. And maybe you can tell us a few words whether or not you would recommend this award and to participate this award to other service providers based on your experience.
Yeah, definitely. It's something what I would recommend. It is, as I mentioned, very important to really benchmark yourself with
Yeah.
others. Otherwise, you think you're the best, but you really need to come out and compare yourself and
Yeah.
see whether you're good enough, or you have to optimize your product, your whatever you do.
Yeah. Ertan, I've been really looking forward to this talk with you for several reasons. But one of the reasons is also because I've kind of read about your story, how you started your company, but also even going beyond that, that I read that you started coding at the age of 9.
Oh yeah.
So like, tell us
Oh
a
yes.
little bit about you, because I
Yeah.
think you have a very interesting story.
My whole life, I did nothing else than software development. Of course, it's different when you start with 9,
Yeah.
but it was always very special for me
Yeah.
to develop something what is not there and really make something great with software. And that was always my focus. And as you mentioned, I started with 9 years. And I mean, your friends around you looking at you and saying, what is this guy doing? Why is he not playing soccer outside?
Yeah.
But for me, it was much more interesting to work with computers, and that's what I did my whole life. And
Wow.
this is still passion for me, nothing else.
Yeah. And I find it fascinating because early on I was also very interested in computers. I remember waiting all night to be able to download some sort of game, like with the first computer we had, using dial-up. I mean, like all these things like that are just unimaginable for the new generations. But
Yeah.
going beyond that, like creating stuff with computers, turning that into a passion. You mentioned you have 3 kids, and you forgot your 4th baby, and which is Weclapp.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about how you started the company, and what were your highs? And also, I'm curious about the downs, because just like we chatted before, I think being an entrepreneur requires extreme amounts of resilience,
Yeah.
and being able to get back up when life presents you challenges. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. It's definitely something what is quite hard. It all started. I mean, I had already a ERP system developed end 90s, and from that experience, later also I have developed a first open source CRM system called OpenCRM. And these projects together in 2006, I saw a demo running in a browser where somebody developed a small operating system running in the browser, and all together have shown me that the world is changing outside there. And now it's the right time that you can really start with a new software project and change a lot. People are expecting software to be delivered differently via cloud models. And that was the starting point where I started to plan Weclapp. And the foundation itself was in 2008, together with a financial investor, because when you start an ERP system, that's a huge amount of money what you need to invest. So we had a two-digit million of investment, what we did. And that only was possible with a financial investor in the background. But 5 years, we have developed the whole platform with 50 software developers, and that was the time where we burned a lot of money every month. And when you have a financial investor who invests a lot of money into this idea without to know whether you will ever have any positive result out of it, that was quite hard. I mean, burning every month 150K and trying to tell your financial investor that this is still a good story, that was very hard. And on the other side, the private life next to scaling up Weclapp and developing the product, to combine things, that was also very hard for me. I mean, with my 3 children, with the oldest boy, I had for a long time no time to see him, to play with him. That's the negative side. On the other side, he is now he sees what the result out of the hard work was, and is very close with me to look into a lot of details, technology things, and that's very nice to see that he is still there, and he sees also the next to the negative things, also the positive things. But it's always an up and down, as you mentioned. So private life is always a bit difficult when you found something new and when you're working so hard. But in the end, the result was very positive at Weclapp. Since we started in 2013 to sell our product, it was clear that this will be a huge story. And since then, it is a full growth story year by year.
I think you have around, I will get to some follow-ups about Weclapp, but I, as a father of 2 small boys, I couldn't agree with you more, because like, you constantly have this feeling. On the one hand, you have something that's truly, like, you're truly passionate about. For me, it's also like, I love doing the podcast, and I love doing all kinds of other things that I do. But then again, like, my sons are 2 and 5, and it's such a time where you feel you have so many balls in the air, trying to keep them all up and not drop some of them, lose magnitude, like lose momentum. It's very hard, and I totally hear you, and I'm in the same struggle as we speak, trying to find the right balance, but it's not very easy.
Yeah. And when you're under pressure and you need to deliver, it's sometimes not easy to find the right balance. That was, in my case, the situation. I will write a book about my Weclapp story. And one important part is indeed the right balance between the family situation and my job. And that was very tough. That was not really easy. But in the end, all fine, all good. And I also found then finally the right balance. In the first years it was difficult, but later it worked very well.
Before you write the book, maybe you can tell us, because I mean, with AI you can just use the transcript from this talk to inspire you also. I'm curious, if you could go back to 2008 when you started the company, what would you do differently?
I would be more careful when searching the right team members.
Yeah.
Because when you have a complex project like Weclapp for the development time, and you choose the wrong people, it slows you down. It costs you a lot of money. It is, I think that's one of the things what I definitely would make a bit different. So keep a bit more, give it a bit more time to find the right people, and not trying to do everything under a lot of time pressure. That was not always positive. But overall, I would say the whole Weclapp story was just, everything was just perfect. And everything worked well. But the only thing is maybe a few team members could have been replaced earlier. That would have been better for the whole project.
Yeah, which I find very hard because I've talked to a lot of people that build teams, also within our podcast. Somehow there doesn't seem to be one formula that works for everyone, and sometimes there are also surprises because it's someone who didn't make the best first impression can turn out to be the biggest asset you have, right? For me, I guess if you want to go fast, go slow at times. Just take your time with people. But then again, it would be interesting to hear your opinion. Because I think it's very difficult for many to build the right teams.
Yeah, in a startup phase, you just want to push things forward, and you don't look too much left or right. You're just doing every day the best to push the project forward, and you don't think about these items that you look at to find the right office, for instance, was also in the beginning. It doesn't matter. You're all developing but later these things become more important. The right people, the right culture from the beginning to set up really a good culture where what gives you a border within your activities, what you're doing in your company. All these things are important, but as an entrepreneur, you're typically not thinking about that. Your pressure comes from the financial side.
You look at the KPIs.
You want to get to the market. You want to start selling your product. But in the end, you always have time to optimize things later. It's important that you do it. Doesn't matter whether you hit the perfect time, but important is that it happens sooner or later.
Yeah. As far as I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are at 5 to 6 million yearly revenue, around 170 employees as we speak, and have 22,000 customers.
Yeah, the revenue is much higher.
Yeah.
We have around 40,000 users with around 7,800 customers, companies. As we speak here, 40,000 users are working on a central platform in Frankfurt and creating quotes, invoices, delivery notes, all these things.
I was just testing you if you know your numbers.
I know.
No, but you did well.
But the revenue is definitely much higher.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So probably I got some outdated briefing document, but doesn't matter. That sounds very, very promising. But tell us about, we talked a lot about teams and how your team structure developed. Initially, you were talking about the 5 years where before the launch, you had around 40 people that developed it on a technical level.
Yeah.
And how did the numbers grow? How did the teams grow? What were some of the milestones?
Yeah, maybe first of all, let's start with a negative milestone. We started in 2008, and we had 45, 50 software developers working on this project for 5 years.
Yeah.
And only a couple of months before sales start, the financial investor came to me saying, Ertan, sorry to say that, but I cannot invest more money. You have to reduce people now. And from around 50 people, we have reduced down to 7.
Wow.
But Efe, that was the best what could happen to us. even, I mean, that was really hard for me, no doubt. I have really done personally everything that these people get another job, and I was successful, so that's fine from that perspective. But it was very hard for me to reduce the team. But on the other side, becoming again a small team has really increased efficiency, and it was so a great work then with 7 people to start selling the product, and then year by year we have increased the amount of people again. But that was first of all the negative thing, to really from one to another day tell your team, hey guys, you have to, I need to let you go now, and that was really hard.
Wow. Did you personally lead this entire project of restructuring?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the financial investor only told it to me, saying, hey, we have to stop sending any money anymore. So make sure that you can work with the money what we will reduce. And that means you have to reduce
you have to live
people
within your means, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was, when was that exactly?
That was 2012.
Okay.
Because in end 2012 we touched the market the first time, and then 2013 we started to sell our product, and mid 2012 that was the time where we had to reduce the number of people.
Oh my God.
That was really tough.
Yeah, it's, I can imagine. I've never led such a process, but I can just imagine. I have led teams, and I know people that have families and like that have kids, and they have realities, and it's for most it's also sentimental connection to the job, to the project, that can really have a real life impact.
That was the most the biggest problem for me, because I mean, they found all jobs. There were mostly software developers. Software developers are still required everywhere, so that wasn't an issue. But I mean, imagine you're working more than 4.5 years, day and night with people on a project, and then you have to let them go, and that was the really tough. That was very tough.
Okay, so after that you started recruiting again, when you got efficient and you got probably a different outlook on things. So for you it was like a good thing and a bad thing, pretty much. And what happened after?
The big success story started, I would say, really year by year. I had a small notebook, and I every time when I had discussions with my investors, I had written down notes saying this will be much better than we ever thought, and the story was really from the beginning. When we started to sell our product, it took only a couple of weeks to have the first 10, the first 50, first 100 customers, and we could really see, wow, that is a big story. And from that point on, there was only positive signals. We could win a lot of awards. We had great customers, great companies, big companies deciding to go the way with Weclapp, like big car manufacturing companies here in Germany, all using Weclapp in their special departments. In the core, they have typically SAP or the big ERP solutions, but in the smaller offices around, they use a 2-tier ERP strategy, and have the more modern ERP solutions around the core system. And seeing these things, I mean, you are planning this, right? You want to achieve this. That's your design of your application, your solution. But to really see these companies coming then to you and then say, hey, we love your product, we would like to become a customer. That was really positive.
And it's like, I think I've talked to many entrepreneurs that have been telling me it's also kind of a lonely life, because you have a concrete imagination how things will be, but not everyone is a visionary, right? So other people around you don't know you, and they even want to protect you in their own mind from hurting yourself or like investing your time in something that could fail. Did it feel like that to you as well?
Yes, multiple times, often, always, I would say, of course. And you're, as an entrepreneur, um, and as the boss, you're always, even when you have, and when you're really living this culture that we're doing things together and we're one team, we're a great team. The entrepreneurs quite often quite lonely because, as you're saying, it's you have the vision, you know what should come in the future, but it's very difficult to tell this story always to your team. That was always a challenge. So I would say yes, that was indeed quite often the case.
How do you deal with that?
Storytelling, internal storytelling, like we are doing it externally, you have to build your storyline also for your internal team, and you have clear
When their
storyline.
hearts and minds.
Yeah, and then really repeat it and take the people with you,
Yeah.
but not on a too democratic way, I would say, because otherwise you're slowing things down, and then you're becoming really slow. But again, finding the right balance also there, that's the solution.
Ertan, have you leveraged mentors back in the day? I know that you've done mentorships yourself, I think, but did you have trusted advisors that helped you make certain decisions? Because, like, I think, as you said, you can't be too democratic about it.
Yeah.
Because obviously you probably see something that other people don't see, right?
Yeah. In my case, I had a financial investor, and that financial investor had no idea about software. They had money. That was the only thing what they had. Of course, they had also knowledge about compliance, security, and these kind of things, but not when it comes to culture in a company to really solve day-by-day problems.
Yeah.
I would ever say the most important mentor for me was my father, for instance.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you know what I love really? My parents came somewhere end 60s to Germany. And when I asked my parents, why did you do that? I mean, you don't speak the language, you don't you don't know the culture and everything. The answer was always, we wanted to give you children a better life. And that was always motivating me. That was always pushing me. That was really my energy. And also, when you look in my LinkedIn profile, you will see that when I'm in Anatolia, I'm often sharing pictures and showing that how I renew my energy in Anatolia. And these basic people in that region, these are I mean, you know, they are not developing software. They are farmers. But what they do and how they think about problems and how they solve it, that's exactly what I always did with Weclapp, and it was successful. Because you don't need to study to understand what a problem is and how to solve it. You can, and I was really often listening to my father and listening to people where I had the feeling they maybe don't understand the technology, what you're doing. They don't know even what you're doing, but the kind of solving things and how they see things is exactly, it doesn't matter whether you're a public listed company and solve something, or you do it in a smaller thing like a farmer in Anatolia. They have similar challenges. Seriously, I fully believe this, and I was fully looking into listening to people who have understood how this planet works and try to do these things to be from your social skills, for instance. That's very important. I mean, when you don't have your social skills, you cannot lead a team. In order to lead a team, to make sure that 150, 200 people are following you, you need to have, you need to be a human, and you need to be a person who where people are looking up and say, hey, this guy, I trust him fully. I will do everything what this guy wants to achieve the goal as a team. And that really worked well.
I have to admit, I'm really touched by how you articulate your story because I have a migration background. I've been in Germany for 7 years, and for me, I've lived in the U.S. for quite some time, and originally come from Turkey. And for me, it's super interesting because also recently, having read the book from David Goggins, probably you know him, Navy SEAL, he's African American, and like, just like you mentioned, you're gonna write a book, and I fully support this idea. And in his case, also writing about his journey, there are many moments where you have challenges that other people that are just maybe not of such migration backgrounds, they never can even imagine. So they don't have this same type of, like you've mentioned, your mindset and how you approach problems, and your mentor, your father mentoring you, and just the way he approaches problems has been super beneficial
Yeah,
for you. Even if he doesn't understand the particularities of software, he's given you this mindset how to approach these problems. And
exactly.
I think this is key because the kind of society that I imagine is like being enriched by different approaches, you know, like that really touched me, I have to say. And moving beyond, I want to ask you, were there moments where you felt this migration background has been a hurdle, or like there's been disadvantage in your case as an entrepreneur? Because I'm really curious about it.
Um, uh, in my case, I would say no, it had no impact
Yeah,
because as long as you have the chance to present yourself
yeah,
and then really talk about something what you want to do, and
yeah,
people really feel that you have passion for it, and that's really what you did your whole life.
yeah,
It opens you a lot of doors, and people invest in people. And
yeah,
in my case, I could really tell the idea, the story to the financial investor
yeah.
I could win, and they fully trusted into what I wanted to do. I mean, again, a two-digit million investment in something where you don't know whether it will be successful. You never know whether it takes 3 years, 10 years, 15 years. There were so many risks, and everyone on the way told me, Ertan, are you crazy? What are you doing there? That will not work. Don't do
Um,
this. And whenever people told me that, I said, why not? I mean, it's software. I my whole life
yeah,
I'm developing software. Why should
it's your
that
home
not
turf,
work?
right?
Yeah, it's exactly. And the market is changing out there. People want this
Yeah,
kind of software. So that's for me very natural to
yeah,
do that. And so in my case, I would say the migration background had no negative impact on a personal life. We know that in Germany, it's sometimes not easy. I had a lot of things happening as a young boy in the school around it that well, you're maybe not, how you say that these days, biologically German or something like that.
I don't say that, but I've heard it before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard this. It's very strange using these words, but I mean, in a private life, I would say that was indeed had some negative
yeah,
impacts, but in a business life, no, I
yeah.
cannot say that.
Um, I feel the same, and as a matter of fact, I even thought of like doing a LinkedIn post about just presenting the other side of how helpful. I mean, I'm a newcomer pretty much in comparison. So my journey in Germany um, has been marked by people that are extremely helpful, supportive, and just like really going the extra mile. Because like when, especially these days, when everyone is focusing on the negative side, because there's like the trend, you know, into that direction somehow, we shouldn't be forgetful about the side of all the people you had. In your case, you had your investor. He believed in you, had the confidence in you, and that tells a lot about a person, and also your team members. So all these people just made a difference by believing in you, because I think someone will behave inevitably different when they have people believing in them,
Yeah,
It will
definitely.
create an entire energy around them, and you will do different things.
Yeah. You know what was very nice for me, and it was very positive, and that was the moment where I also thought about it. Well, okay, people who fully trust in you and believe in you. We wanted to go the IPO way to bring the company to the next level.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of preparation, investor discussions, all good. And we were very close to the IPO.
When
Even
was this?
in 2022.
Okay.
We even booked the party at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange and paid it already. And then 2 weeks later, because of the Ukraine crisis, we had to stop it. Also, other IPOs has been stopped in that year.
Yeah.
And as I had a lot of investor discussions, then I had further contacts with a few of them. And end 2022, I have sold the whole company to a software company in the Netherlands. My financial investor sold every shares they had, and I sold a few of them, and still have shares in the company. And the interesting point was that during this process, this company told me, Ertan, we are paying a lot of money for this company, and a huge, really huge amount of money. And but we are doing this because we believe in you. If you wouldn't be there, we wouldn't pay this amount for this company. But you with the company together, and that was really the moment, as you're saying, that was the moment I saying, okay, it's so important to be an entrepreneur leadership who really can tell the story and make sure that people follow this story. And that was really impressive for me also.
Yeah, totally. I want to also give you the platform to talk about the product a little bit more.
Mhm.
So, I will again say a few things and you will correct me. Okay? So, as far as I know, you're a cloud-based ERP solution for SMB. What differentiates you from all the competitors? First one, what's your product strategy? Like, who are you targeting, and how what's the impact you create on these businesses?
Yeah, we have changed the ERP market in Germany, because before Weclapp, ERP was like 10 people coming to your company with wearing their ties, and they tell you a lot about how complex processes are and how difficult everything is. And for the first introduction, they sent you an invoice with 50K or something like that. That was before Weclapp. What Weclapp has fully changed is, we have democratized ERP. We have lowered the threshold that you'll be able to use an ERP system. When you go to our webpage now, it takes you only a few seconds, and then your own ERP system is up and running.
Wow.
And we make it as easy as possible for you to get onboarded during the 30 days of trial period. You can test everything for free, and then you can decide whether you want to continue or not. And so everything is based on make it simple as possible, because the people out there having their challenges day by day in their businesses, they are not software experts. They don't want to go into all the details and 1,000 settings and everything. They want to have it as easy as possible. And that's the difference between us and a lot of other competitors. We still, by the way, on the German market have more than 400 ERP systems, and most of them are not cloud-based, and only a handful of solutions out there which are cloud-based, and Weclapp is one of the best of them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge topic, right? Look, I was in operational e-commerce for 6 years, and talked to many merchants. So listen to, especially SMB merchants, listen to their problems, and you often even successful businesses, they have lots of manual processes. At the end of the day, extracting all the data, uploading it somewhere. Forget about real-time synchronization and stuff like to offer things like click and collect or whatever. So that's still somehow the reality.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, on-prem solutions or like legacy solutions that people use. And on the other hand, you have like cloud-based solutions. Maybe your shop is running on a cloud-based solution like Shopify or whatever.
Yeah.
But your ERP system is outdated. So it causes a lot of problems to offer a proper customer journey and meet the expectation of the modern user, like someone that sees that does a near me search and sees your product in local inventory and then thinks, oh, okay, like there's a price discount, and instead of waiting 2 days, I can just pick it up on my. I always give the example. I'm always late to buying presents, and I really rely on this inventory ads, like on these ads. But for these things, you need connectivity, right? So you need proper solutions. And you mentioned you're democratizing this technology. In a way, a good comparison is like ChatGPT has democratized the AI technology to the masses. It's the most used product that has ever existed. And you guys are doing it for the masses, for the ones that couldn't afford it before, that got the bills for 50K from consultants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a big, massive value.
Yeah, and we opened ERP for the mass market now. I mean, that's why we are so successful. It's easy. It's now something what every small company can use to solve their problems. And with a good ERP platform like Weclapp was built from the beginning as a platform, API first, and connectivity by design. That's all very important. And not only expecting the expectations of users, but also the possibilities what you these days have. You need to have modern solutions. With the legacy solutions, you're always limited. And that's the big difference.
How do you leverage AI-driven technologies these days? Like, could you tell us a little bit of like what has changed in your particular segment, how you serve your customers, and with the innovations that have happened in the last years in AI?
Yeah, first of all, the customer experience and the customer journey was always very important for us from the beginning, from the web page, the first contact until the trial period. And when you're a customer, that you, for instance, get every 2 weeks, we have updates what we implement on the platform. So you have a continuous optimization. And the beauty of a cloud system is with thousands of users, you have every day a lot of feedback what you get. So you do continuously optimize for everyone, even when not everyone gives you feedback. So it's a completely organism what continuously gets better and better. And that's something what should be mentioned. On the other side, when I founded in 2008 Weclapp, it was, wow, that is a big change now. Everything is in the browser, cloud, a lot of possibilities. And for a long time, that will not change. And now we know that the world is changing again with AI. But with AI, we need to be careful. In the end, whatever we do, it must help end customers to do their business even easier
Yeah.
and help them really. We had our own research team and started 4 years ago already with AI,
Yeah.
but we saw that it was too early. It was too
Yeah.
difficult. The technology stack was not yet there. Now these days it has changed a lot. It's something what you definitely can do in order to optimize and help your users.
Yeah.
And we do plan a lot, but we always do plan it based on what really is helpful.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example that was really funny. A couple of years ago at a award, there was a product presentation saying, "Hey, and did you implement something modern, new in your solution?" Yes, we have something very modern. What is it? I can write something and then I get an answer spoken from the system.
Yeah.
Okay, can you show us a sample? What is my revenue currently? Your revenue is 107,812.12. That is not helpful for the end user because it takes seconds that the machine tells you what the revenue is, while your brain only needs a few microseconds to see the number and understand what your revenue is. This is nothing
It's
what
kind of
helps.
bullshit bingo.
And that's exactly what we don't want to do at Weclapp. And when we do something, it's something what really helps.
Yeah.
And AI agents, for instance, is something what will help users.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely agree with you. Yeah, I mean, like, also hearing that just reaffirms trust, because you're not just like jumping at every little innovation, although it might not be particularly helpful for the journeys that you currently have, but you're mindful of all the developments and waiting for the right opportunity to make a tangible impact, you know?
And you need to be always being able to renew yourself. So never try to do something where you're just stuck somewhere and you cannot move forward. As long as you can renew yourself, things are fine, because you can then use all possibilities and give these possibilities. That was always our vision, and that worked really, really well. Otherwise, after 20 years, you're also no longer young. You're already a company with 20 years background, but the possibility to renew yourself, that's the difference.
Yeah. Talking about renewing yourself, also, when I did a little research about you as a person, it came across that you also have this principle of restarting when things get hard. Can you tell us a little bit about how you approach it? Because we talked a lot about leadership, entrepreneurial mindset. What is your strategy to deal with these hard times? Like, how do you renew yourself? How do you restart?
Yeah, it's not always perfect what you're doing. You're doing also a lot of failures during your time, and
you should also.
You must. It's not working otherwise. I mean, a child need to fall in order to stay up again and start walking. Otherwise, you will not learn it. And it's the same here. So when you do a failure, you must accept that this was a failure and hit the reset button, saying, "Hey, we start completely new." Okay, we throw away 6 months of work. That's bad, but it can happen. And just restart and try to really make sure that you stay on a vision and fix problems what you have during the time.
Ertan, also curious about, you're in several markets, and I want to hear about your expansion. How you've expanded up until now, which markets do you cover? And also, whether or not you needed to restart sometimes in these expansions, would be interesting to find out.
Yeah, when we started designing Weclapp, one of the first things we talked about was, what is our market? And okay, Germany is great market. Germany is our market. And then you come to questions like, but why? Why do we stop at the border and don't offer the same solution also to others, other countries? And so Weclapp was built from the beginning for the world market. We have tried to build something what can be used everywhere in different industries, and that is one of the reasons why we are so successful. Not sticky with our industry is very important, but on the other side, of course, you need to also deep dive into industry features. That's what we are doing. But generally, the general challenges what every company has is same in all industries across the most important industries what we see here in Germany. And that was our approach, that was our scalability, and that worked very well. We have, by the way, in 30 countries all over the world, customers. It happens mostly also because when you're using in Weclapp here in Germany and you have offices in Turkey, somewhere else, you start also use the same solution there. So it came to the fact that we have in 30 countries now customers. So scalability is something what was from the beginning part of our design.
Yeah. So you knew that it would get to a point where you would have to, like, you mentioned design is super important because inevitably you want to scale. I mean, like most founders, you also mentioned you've sold some of your shares and your investor has sold his shares. So like inevitably in a startup scenario, and this is kind of the pathway for many, and one indicator of a successful startup or scale up is scalability, of course. You know what I mean? So having that as a design element from the beginning, I guess is very important.
Investors will only invest in scalable businesses. I mean, that's what they're looking at. And the nice thing is that everyone needs software to run the business. It's nearly impossible these days. The government is always finding, have new ideas, what things what you need to follow and make and things what you need to do, like E-Rechnung here in Germany at the moment. And at latest at this point, everyone needs software, and the market is so big for us that growth also in the future is something what we will definitely further see.
Super exciting. And we also talked a lot about culture. I recall, I mean, you've mentioned at so many times you've gone the extra mile in the restructuring, how you had people that genuinely believed you as a leader. And I'm curious how your culture looks like, because I'm asking this question to a lot of brands, a lot of service providers, to see if there are, like, honestly, for the opening keynote I held at the e-commerce Berlin Expo 25, I put in a lot of effort. I uploaded all my transcripts from these podcasts to Notebook LM from Google. So it actually just combines, like, to find out, and then you can ask the collective mind some questions. So that was an interesting experiment. And I'm asking like similar questions to entrepreneurs to find out like what similarities, what patterns do you see? So curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's you have a lot of actions. So first of all, our culture was documented on 40 pages. 40 pages where we have defined what we mean with our company culture. And the company culture is important because it gives you really the border of your activities, what you're doing in a company. And what we have defined there is from what our vision exactly is to how we work all together. And that was the glue between the elements and the whole organization. And that was really, looking back, quite helpful. Otherwise, we would have a lot of more problems when you don't have a documented culture, and when you not really live it on a day by day. And
Yeah.
as the entrepreneur and the founder of the company, you have to live it as well, and as the first person in this company. And that was always, I mean, it's very natural for me. That was why it was quite easy for me to do it. But I think that all is very important. Otherwise, I don't believe that a startup company can become successful without a healthy culture.
Listening to you, Ertan, I'm walking out of this talk with lots of inspiration. I feel like I've learned a great deal from you. It's like a masterclass on entrepreneurial mindset and how you made one of the biggest, one of the most influential ERP systems in our space and possible. You know, that you believed in this vision, people believed in you, and to me that's incredible. We started talking about, well, I have congratulated you at the beginning of this talk because of the award that you've won, a special award this year. This is also the reason why you're sitting in front of me, because that was the price that my humble self can get to interview you. And we've talked about your growth journey, the ups and downs, like your almost IPO, you know, like
Yeah.
that you booked even the party. And we've talked about your authentic personal journey as well, how the right balance between family and work life can be also very difficult. And thank you so much for being here, that you came all the way up to Berlin to have this conversation with us. And I would like to strongly encourage anyone listening to this to reach out to Ertan. He has a vibrant LinkedIn profile where he's also sharing stuff. I'm sure you wouldn't have a problem people reaching out to you if they have questions, or just visiting Weclapp and checking out your innovative solution. So that's all I would like to say.
Thank you, Efe. Thank you for the invitation, and it was really a great time here. And we're happy to see you at latest next year at the e-commerce Germany again. We will be there.
Yeah, I'm sure we will see us before that, because we often organize side events and everything where I will make sure that you're also part of it.
Great.
Thank you so much, Ertan.
Thank you
for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the EGN Podcast. If you found our discussion insightful, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Your support helps us grow and improve our content. See you next time.